Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to MST.TV. This is Nishi here bringing you all another Market Watch episode. So it has been a little while since we've done one of these, and I think everyone just got so hyped up about Toon Chaos and all the cool new cards that it's bringing to the table, they kind of neglected a bunch of other things that might be happening on the market. I was really lucky with my case. I managed to get an entire case of Toon Chaos, and I pulled really well. I got 5 collector's rares. I got Stardust Dragon, Immortal Phoenix Gearfried, Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the Beginning, Toon Bookmark, and Chaos Creator. I was absolutely thrilled. The BLS looks absolutely amazing. I also got my playset of Pot of Extravagance finally, as well as all the Flame Noble Knight stuff that I want for when the deck does come out down the road, so that's really great for me. Anyways guys, with the release of Toon Chaos, we did see the set directly affect the results from the LCS event that just happened over the weekend, so we'll cover some of the notable market changes related to that, as well as discuss some things that maybe aren't necessarily meta relevant or meta relevant right now, but that you will want to know about nonetheless. Let's get started. So to kick things off, let's take a look at Giant Rex. Giant Rex is a very important card in dinosaur decks, though I believe it is typically just played at 1. It's a level 4 2000 attack point body that summons itself whenever it's banished, so it's ideal if you banish it with Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, Miscellaneousaurus, or Double Evolution Pill. As a level 4 dinosaur monster, you can combine it with Soul Eating Oviraptor to make either Evilzor Logia or Evilzor Dolka, both of which are great cards to have on the field that provide you with negates that you can use to disrupt your opponent with. Now the card does only have 1 printing, which is from way back in Battles of Legend Light's Revenge, which is the first Battles of Legend set that we ever got. Despite being a one of, it is now a $9 card. I believe that this is largely because of the unlimited edition of the Dino Smashers Fury structure deck finally making its way into stores. The deck contains Oviraptors, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, Lost World, Petite Pteranodon, Baby Ceratosaurus, and then even Double Evolution Pill was just reprinted in Dual Overload, and with the dinosaur deck now being so much more affordable, it made sense that another key piece of the deck would get bought out. I'm expecting this card to stay at around the $7 to $8 range until it does get a reprint, though I don't know exactly when that is going to be. But with the fossil cards finally coming to the TCG in Battles of Legend Armageddon, I'm hoping that dinosaur cards are on Konami's radar and that we will see a reprint of it in something like OTS Tournament Pack 14. Next up, we have Traptrix Rafflesia. So I believe I talked about this card a little while ago before Eternity Code came out because of the upcoming release of Gravedigger's Trap Hole and Parallel Exceed. Back then, this was only a $5 to $6 card. Last week it was $10 to $13, and now it has jumped all the way up to the $17 to $18 mark for either secret rare version of this card. Traptrix Rafflesia and Parallel Exceed are a big boost to decks like Salamangrate, which definitely appreciates the fact that Rafflesia allows you to play around Nibiru, which would otherwise be a really devastating card to have dropped on you. I actually think that Parallel Exceed could begin to see play in non-Cybers decks, further pushing up the price of Rafflesia, because it really is just a super compact engine that can be played in anything that utilizes link monsters, though I haven't really seen any results to support that yet. Now there is just the Megatin and original secret rare printings of this card that are widely available at the moment, unless you count the new OTS Tournament Pack 13 Ultimate Rare, which, while beautiful, is still really hard to find. As a new OTS Tournament Pack Ultimate Rare, the price is quite inflated due to super short supply, and they're currently like $100 to $130 on the market at the moment. Unfortunately, if you want to play this card right now, you are going to have to shell out around $20 or so for your secret rare copy, though if you are looking to pick it up, I would at the very least hold off for another month or two, just in case it does get that reprint in Battles of Legend Armageddon. So here's one that was making its way around the internet last week or something. It is the Law of the Normal. This card is pretty cute. It allows you to force both players to discard their hands and destroy all cards on their field except for level 2 or lower normal monsters, while you control 5 level 2 or lower normal monsters on your side of the field. Well, apparently, this card has the potential to be relevant with the new Sutin archetype that is coming out for Phantom Rage, the set that we will be getting at the end of this year after Rise of the Duelist. The Sutin has a spell card that summons out as many Sutin tokens as possible, which means that you can meet the requirement for Law of the Normal with just 1 card, so it can be a really cheesy way to get rid of all of your opponent's cards. However, I don't think it's going to be consistent enough or anything like that to be meta relevant at all. This card does only have 2 printings which are quite old, back from Dark Revelations 2 and Ancient Sanctuary, and because they're old and no one really cared about the card before, they are quite hard to find. There are pretty limited quantities available on TCG Player at the moment, and you're looking at $3 to $4 for a near mint copy of the card right now. Honestly, I wouldn't be paying more than $1 or so for it, since if it really is that meta relevant of a card, it is likely to get reprinted closer to the release of Phantom Rage. If you really want, you can try digging through some old bulk to see if you're able to find any copies of the card that hopefully aren't too beat up. Next, we'll take a look at Black Metal Dragon, specifically the super rare from OTS Tournament Pack 6. So Black Metal Dragon has a really cool effect that allows you to search for a Red Eyes card if it is sent from the field to the graveyard, and this effect isn't a once per turn. If you saw Tombox's Rocket deck profile, you'll notice that this card is basically a one card Dragon Link combo, searching out Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, as well as potentially other targets from your deck later on in the turn if you happen to play more targets. This looks like a really strong combo, even despite the fact that Red MD is receiving an errata in Legendary Duelist Season 1, making the card a hard once per turn effect. In fact, the card was played at 3 in multiple top Dragon deck lists from over the weekend at the LCS, so the card is definitely a meta relevant card now. However, because it is from back in OTS Tournament Pack 6, which was a few OTS sets ago, and that is the card's only holo printing, we are now looking at $10 for a single copy of this card, which is quite a bit for an OTS super rare. Obviously, if you want to bling out your deck and get the highest rarity available at the moment, this is the copy you're going to want to get. If you just want a holo version, at the very least you should be waiting for a couple of weeks until the release of Legendary Duelist Season 1, because Black Metal Dragon is in there, but we don't know what rarity it will be, so it's definitely possible that we could see it as something cool, like a colored ultra rare. Although if you are a budget player and you don't care too much about the rarity, this card does have common printings available that you can get for under 25 cents or so. Now, speaking of Red Eyes cards, one other one I want to touch on is Red Eyes Wyvern. So this card is pretty cool, but it's definitely not nearly as meta relevant as Black Metal Dragon. This is another card that you can search with Black Metal Dragon, since really, I think Red MD is the only good target that you're generally going to play. However, this card can be used as discard material and whatnot. Now, during your end phase, if you didn't normal or set a monster this turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard to summon a Red Eyes monster from your graveyard. Obviously, if you're using this card, you are not in a great spot, since you want to be able to use your normal summon at the very least. However, I guess it's cute for if you've burned through all of your resources, though I'm not sure why your opponent wouldn't have killed you yet. I guess people could also be preparing for Red Eyes Darkness Dragoon, since you could technically bring that card back with this card as well. Anyways, there are two different holo versions of this card, both of which are super rare and both of which actually look really similar. So there's the original video game promo from GX Tag Force 3, which was bought out, and there's just the one near mint copy available on TCG Player at the moment for $75, which is insane. Please don't buy that card. Alternatively, there is the super rare promo from the Ancient Prophecy Special Edition, which is slightly more reasonable at around $7 each. We do want to keep in mind that just like Black Metal Dragon, we do have different common printings available, as well as a reprint coming for this card in Legendary Duelist Season 1, so I would recommend not picking up this card quite yet, and being a little bit more patient to see what the reprints bring us. Okay, so now we're on to looking at Isolde, Two Tales of the Noble Knights. So I think I talked about this card a little while ago, but with Toon Chaos bringing us some of the Flame Noble Knight cards, it's appropriate that we talk about this card now, because it is starting to climb up in terms of price. Isolde is a really important card in Flame Noble Knights, summoning a warrior out of your deck by dumping equip spells, as well as getting you a search, and it's what you need to make in order to pull off a lot of the deck's combos. A lot of your deck is cards like Sublimation Knight or Neospace Connector, just to ensure that you can make this card early on to get your combos going. With Flame Noble Knights being a huge top tier deck in the OCG, and Isolde being a card that is generally played at 2 in the deck, it shouldn't come as any surprise to see this card climbing up in price. So for the original ultra rare version, we are looking at about $17 each, which is almost up to what it was before the card ever even got a reprint in the first place, and even the super rare reprints from the Extreme Forces Special Edition were down at around $1 before, and they're now up to the $3 to $4 mark. If Noble Knights really start to take off here in the TCG as well, I could see them very easily hitting $7 or $8, assuming that they don't get reprinted within the next couple of months. If I were you guys, if you want to play the Flame Noble Knight deck, when the rest of the cards are released in Rise of the Duelist later this year, I would just pick up your super rare copies now just to have them available before they do have the chance to spike up in price anymore. I would, however, sell your excess copies as well as your ultras because I do think there's a good chance that it gets reprinted as the hype for the deck grows. Alright, so I apologize in advance for my pronunciation of this card's name. I'm not really sure. This one is kind of random, but out of nowhere, Valkyrie Sexta is a $9 to $10 card, despite it being no more than $3 for most of its existence here in the TCG. So as much as Konami has tried to promote the Valkyrie archetype, they've never really taken off here at all. However, apparently in the OCG, people are seeing a tiny bit of success using a couple of Valkyrie cards alongside Diviner of the Heralds in different decks. The idea is that when Diviner of the Heralds is tributed, you get to summon Sexta out of your deck, which procs its ability, allowing you to summon out Valkyrie Sexta, a level 9 monster that can help facilitate making things like True King of all Calamities. As a result, we've now seen this card jump up to the $9 to $10 mark, as the card only has its one secret rare printing available from back in Savage Strike. Now, I believe that Diviner of the Heralds is actually a promo card over in the OCG, so it might be some time before we do even see this combo possible in the TCG at all, though I think some people might be speculating that Diviner will be imported in either Battles of Legend or the 2020 Megatins because we are getting so many different cards in those two products, and also in the core sets we get 20 OCG imports now instead of the usual 10. At any rate, Sexta is due to be reprinted in the 2020 Megatins, so even though it would be nice to keep holding on to the secret rares as the highest rarity version, I think that what makes the most sense is to sell them now while they are hyped up, wait for the reprint to tank the price back down, and then go ahead and buy them back up again. Next, we have Earthbound Immortal Asclepiosque. Now, this card was actually a really key part of the new Dragon Link FTK deck that saw some success at the LCS over the past weekend. The idea is that you give your opponent a field full of monsters with Black Garden, then you equip the Asclepiosque to a monster you control with Union Carrier, and then you get it sent to the graveyard to burn your opponent for 4,000 damage, and then you burn your opponent for the rest of the damage over the rest of this turn and your opponent's following turn during their standby or main phase using Exploder Rocket Dragon, which is just as cheesy as it sounds. Apparently it is good enough to get you a top cut at a pretty big event, and it's consistent enough that Lithium featured it on his channel and said that you can resolve it about 95% of the time, which is pretty crazy. Now, this is an older card that hasn't been reprinted in a couple of years, so it is a little bit more difficult to find. For the Ultra and Super Rares, both of which are, I would say, the lower rarities, you're looking at generally the $3 to $6 range, which isn't too bad at all. However, if you want an ultimate rare, you're looking at $40 for a Near Mint Unlimited, and then I think if you want a First Ed stamp on it, it's definitely over 100, probably closer to 150. Now, even the secret rare tin promos are about $20 a piece on TCG Player at the moment, with very few copies even available at all. Overall, I mean, this card is pretty funny, and I guess that winning a game with it is kind of cool, but at the same time, this card is just a one of in the deck, not something that you're really going to want to run multiple copies of, so the ultis will definitely have their own value, right, because they're collectible, so if you have them, do whatever you want with that. You probably already have like an Earthbound Immortal collection kind of thing, but with the lower rarities, unless you're really set on running some sort of crazy FTK with this card, I would go ahead and try to move your copies now while the card has some attention and hype surrounding it. Alright guys, last card to talk about here today, which I don't think anyone was really expecting. We are looking at Dragon Maid Hospitality. So it took me a second, but I was looking at some of the different Dragon Link deck lists that topped the LCS over the weekend, and one guy was actually playing Chamber Dragon Maid and Dragon Maid Hospitality as a sort of mini engine, which is really, really neat. I believe that he just used Chamber to search Hospitality, linked off the Chamber Dragon Maid into like Striker Dragon or something like that, then he could reuse the Hospitality in the same turn to bring back the Chamber that he just linked off as an extra extender, which is really, really cool. I only saw one deck play it, but it's definitely an interesting tech, and I'm wondering if we will see anything else play it in a build moving forward, or if it's just outclassed by other things. At any rate, the card is now a whole $10 a piece on TCG Player at the moment, with very few quantities available, although it was around the $7 mark before. I believe that Hospitality is actually a super that was short printed in the Mystic Fighters set, so even though it was just a super rare and should be fairly easy to pull, they are quite difficult difficult to find. This might just be the type of card that you should all be trying to find in your binders and moving while there is a good bit of hype surrounding the card, since I don't think that Dragon Maids are really going to be doing anything meta relevant anytime soon, though if it does start to pick up as a really good meta tech that becomes a standard card for Dragon Links, it does have the potential to continue to climb up in price as a short printed card that came out within the last year. Alright guys, that is it for today's episode. Today's cards felt really random, but at the very least we still have events going on right now, so we are still able to see what cards are trending and gaining traction within the meta, which is really cool. We do also continue to get product out, which is affecting the market either by cards being reprinted or cards getting new support to make them more viable in the future, which is definitely keeping things interesting. Without these things, I'm sure that we would be even more bored than we already are, so at least we have those to keep us occupied. But yeah guys, if you did enjoy today's episode, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button for me. Also, please leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what else is going on with the market, something that I maybe didn't cover in today's episode, something that I missed, so that I can potentially cover it in a future episode to keep all of you as informed and up to date as possible. Also, if you haven't already, please be sure to hit the subscribe button to get all of the latest and greatest content from both Tombox and myself here on the channel. And yeah, so until next time guys, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.